Commission. We'll call the April 17th, 2024, Olivet Parks and Recreation Commission meeting to order. I believe I'm looking around and we have 4 folks, so we have a quorum and we'll hope other people show up as well.
We still need to say names for
Uh,
the minutes.
Let's see, I'm just trying to. I guess it's not on the agenda, but I will do that, okay,
What, I'm sorry, what's on?
No, do we need to say our names
Yeah,
for the
yeah,
record?
yeah, we need
Well, that's the roll call to establish.
yeah,
quorum, so-
we'll do the roll call, okay.
Yeah.
Commissioner Butke,
Yeah.
Commissioner Hanson,
Here.
Commissioner Neal,
Here.
Commissioner Person is here, absent are Commissioner Human, Lee, and Rich. Also present are Parks and Recreation Director Beverly Tucker Knight and Assistant Parks and Recreation Director Patrick McGee. Okay, I can believe we have a quorum. Beverly, are there any written communications?
There are not.
Okay. Are there any citizens? Okay.
Susie, would you like to speak?
I know.
No, I just wanted to see what.
Okay,
he has to say.
Okay, okay. Corporate info.
Except for I will say that I'm so impressed with everything the parks have been doing, this building, my Morrison Park that I can walk in all the time, everything's going great. And nice that the Holy Festival was fun. Good job, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you. Well, and the neat thing about Morrison Park, have you been in all the little back trails?
Oh
Yeah,
my
yeah.
gosh, yeah, I love that.
Great. Okay, moving along, we have Kate Pinchin Hellman here from Olivet Sustainability Advocates to go over what the advocates are doing at this point.
Yeah, well, thanks for having me. I know most of you, but not all of you, so it's nice to meet some new faces. I'm Kate. Last name is confusing because my email is Pashan, if you see my email, but Pashan, Hellman, both, one, the other, it's all me. And I am really glad to be here to talk a little bit about new community organization called the Olivet Sustainability Advocates. You can go to the next slide.
Keisha's on her way too. Oh, she is? Okay.
So the Olivet Sustainability Advocates, you can see our mission there is to promote sustainability efforts in Olivet, Missouri through citizen education and community initiatives. So just kind of like a basic introduction to sustainability. The word itself has been defined many different ways, but the kind of basic definition comes out of the Brundtland Commission from the United Nations in 1987. And they defined sustainability or sustainable development as meeting the needs of the present without compromising the ability of future generations to meet their needs. So in more recent times, there's been a bigger focus on what's known as the 3 E's of sustainability, and that's environment, equity, and economy.
Can you say those again?
Yeah, environment, equity, so looking at social issues, and how sustainability impacts people, and then economy. So looking at how business comes into play, how business and the built environment interact with the natural environment. You may also have heard the terms triple bottom line, and that's another way of kind of rethinking business through a sustainability lens. And the triple bottom line, there's a thing in, for whatever reason, in sustainability lingo, they like threes and they like repeating letters. So that's the 3 Ps of the triple bottom line, which is people, planet, and profit. Same basic idea, just different letters to start out with. Our group has been focused primarily on environment so far, but we would certainly like and hope to cover those other topics as well. Next one. So just a little bit about who we are. We started in 2021 and it was just basically an idea of mine and a passion project to try and find other neighbors who are interested in sustainability. It's something that is very interesting to me. And I'm working on my master's right now in sustainable urban planning. And I just basically wanted to find my people. And I thought that I'd find them in Olivet because I'd had other conversations with folks and knew that Olivet tended to be pretty environmentally minded. So it just started with conversations with neighbors and has grown over the past 3 years. We now have over 80 people on our email list. And while I kind of head the efforts, there is a leadership team of other Olivet residents. Susie has helped a lot, and we've got a great team of leaders that help decide what we're gonna do, when we're gonna do it, plan events, execute events. And it's been great to share that leadership and not have it all on me. Yeah, so kind of looking more at like really what we do, it breaks down into 2 primary headings, and that's education and then community initiatives. So some of the things that we've done, we've had one big educational event every year starting in 2022. So our first year, we brought in Jean Ponzi from the Botanical Garden Earthway Center, and she did a presentation on native plants. And she spoke to your commission not that long ago. And then in 2023, we had Allison Joyce from the Earthways Center come and talk to us about rainscaping. And that one we partnered with the PCDC. And that was really great. We had a great turnout for that. Wonderful program. And we were able to highlight the rainscaping features that exist at the city center. So that was really fun. And then just last week, we did a presentation with 2 speakers from Forest Relief on native trees, and also gave away 70 native trees to the Olivet community. And then we have more informal gatherings where we get together and talk about various things like lights out. I'm not ready yet. Moving me along.
Moving on.
Not intentional.
Okay. So Lights Out Heartland, we've done some garden tours of various houses that are here in Olivet. And then on May 16th, if you want to join us, we're going to do a composting workshop kind of thing. And then community initiatives, our most recent one, like I said, was Tremendous Olivet that just happened last week. We've also started helping at various park events. We did some recycling at the Holy Festival and plan to be there at Party in the Park as well, to just help try and collect any recycling materials and keep them out of the trash. We've also had groups come and help Brian with the native plantings just outside of the community center. And as different other efforts come up, we try to support and promote as well as much as we can. And some of the things we're thinking about in the future, looking at the possibility of helping to develop a tree ordinance to protect the existing trees in Olivet as development is just ongoing here. And to try and increase the tree canopy. Would love to be a part of the Green Cities Challenge that I heard Parks is taking on, which is really exciting. Other ideas are like looking at the Green Dining Alliance and thinking through the last one's kind of big idea. It's kind of like a moonshot, thinking about community solar ideas and options. Okay, now. So the other piece of what we do too is just to try and constantly develop partnerships, knowing that our efforts can be increased and amplified the more partnerships that we're able to develop. And then connecting members of the group to other resources in the community and helping to just really promote other efforts that align with our mission. So those are.
Would this presentation be part of the minute, like the
Yep,
actual
it'll be in
PowerPoint?
I can send it to you.
That'd be great.
And we have a website, if you want to check us out. It's easy to remember, olivetsustainability.com. And in there, there's lots of resources. Like I said in the previous slide, trying to connect community members with resources that have to do with sustainability, as well as promoting different events and activities that are happening. So invite you to check it out. And I'm happy to answer any questions.
One thing that I would say with my contact with OSA, I found someone who wanted a tree that we had to take down as a cut the tree down and recycling. A walnut tree that we had that was not doing well.
Yeah.
And so it's,
Yeah.
it's a very good resource.
And I would like to share that we really appreciate working with OSA because their volunteers at the Holy Festival were fantastic in really helping us divert. People really want to recycle, but they're sometimes confused, particularly when they're in a big, party environment. So having that additional help was amazing. And then looking forward to it, I really hope that it expands because we'd really like to continue that in all of our events. And I'm also very appreciative. They sent so many volunteers when we did our planting out here of our 1,000 plants. It would have been a long slog without OSA. We had all of it in bloom there and Weed Warriors, but we really needed that mass number of people because it doesn't seem like a very big garden out there, but when you're doing 1,000 plants, it's a lot. So very appreciative of that. So we really look forward to partnering in the future with more activities.
We were also really excited when we finished this tremendous Olivet initiative just this past week. We were able to get 55 of the 70 trees that we purchased from the Missouri Department of Conservation. 55 of those went to residents in Olivet, which was great. And the remaining 15, Brian Hatsona took for parks. So that was wonderful too, to be able to make sure that all of those trees found a good home and to be able to contribute that to the Parks Department as well.
Did you have a good turnout at that program?
We did, yeah. We had over 30 people who were there.
That's great. That's a crazy night of activities going on.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I will say all of our events, actually, it's been really encouraging, because all of our events have had really great turnout. And this was the only event that really we focused very clearly on Olivet. The other events, the native plants and landscaping, we opened it up to broader community, but this one really, we tried to just focus on keeping those trees in Olivet. And that's what we did.
So at the last presentation, we had Olivet in bloom. And I learned something new, which was that they're a 501c3. Is that something you guys are hoping to establish or?
Well, we don't know. We have definitely had conversations about it and we've looked into it. So we're not a 501c3, C4, C anything. We're just a community group.
Great.
And so I would think that further down the line, once we get a little bit more established, we'd start.
They've been around a lot longer.
Yes, going through that process, but right now, there's not really a need for it. We have, because of the partnerships, we haven't really had to worry about financial sort of things. The partnerships have enabled us to either have room reservations free of charge, or we've had people in the group just step up and say, it's fine, I'll pay for the room reservation.
Very nice.
So our biggest expenses honestly are the website. Everything else is either covered through an individual stepping up to say they'll cover it or donations.
So we're tight, and so Olivet and Bloom,
Yeah.
they helped us with, they collected our money and, are writing our checks.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, and the additional money, so with the tremendous Olivet program last week, we had a suggested donation of $5 per tree if people wanted a tree. Not everybody donated, and that's totally fine. But those donations went to Olivet and Bloom, and we ended up raising a little bit more than what our costs were for the event. And so that was just an extra donation to Olivet and Bloom. as well.
Great. The website's beautiful,
Oh, thank you.
really well done.
So to set you up, where do people that are around this table that aren't on your mailing list, where do they go?
So the best place is to go here. And as you see, there's a little button there that says subscribe to Olivet Sustainability Advocates. I use MailChimp for our emails. And so if at any point you're like, done, you can just unsubscribe. And certainly, you know, the way that we grow as a group, you know, like I said, we're up to over 80 members now, or at least 80 people on our email list. Most of our individual events, like the smaller gatherings, we have like 6 to 10 people. And then our bigger events, we get about 30-ish. But it's all basically word of mouth. Our people hear about our events and want to learn more and get connected.
I saw that you had kids on there from connection to the schools. Have you gotten good reception from that?
Yeah, so we partnered with Planting Shade, which is a Ladue High School, they have a chapter of Planting Shade at Ladue High School. And so we helped to promote their event that they held a movie night with the Lorax. And then they offered to help plant any trees that, you know, people took trees but weren't maybe able to plant them themselves. We didn't end up really having any takers for the planting help, but it was really great working with them and supporting the work that they do. Their group has a goal of planting 1,000 trees every year, which is a huge goal, but they managed to do it. And then we've also partnered with the high school. We've had volunteers from National Honor Society come out and work with us to collect recycling at the Holy Festival.
Okay.
And then I've been working with the SAGE group. It's Students Advocating for Greener Earth, to help them. They're doing a Green Schools Quest program right now to put in a pollinator garden. So we've been working with them, to just help them in that process.
Awesome.
Do the students in NHS get the community service hours through that? Awesome. Great.
Yeah.
And the other thing with Planting Shades, they've come out for the last couple of Weed Warriors and are done quite a bit of.
They really are. And the co-sponsoring the Lorax with them was wonderful. And they had we had 80 people there on a very cold night. So, I mean, it was great. It was
I
really
think
good.
they, just like 2 weeks ago, helped Brian plant, I don't know,
Yeah.
150, 180
They did,
trees out in
yeah.
Stacy.
Yeah.
And,
They are an incredibly professional group. I think I shared before, the first time I talked to their president, I thought he was out of college. And I found out he was a senior. Yeah, they're very organized, they're very dependable, and they're a pleasure to work with. Yeah, and Sage has come out to volunteer as well. They've been wonderful too. So we have great students. Well, you know, we have great students. But it's been wonderful to work with them.
We did also partner, I mean, this is a small little partnership, but the Planet Protectors is the sustainability club at the middle
I was
school.
gonna say they have one too.
Yeah, and they are doing a bottle cap collection, like the little tiny plastic top on your bottles. They are trying to collect 180 pounds of those
Whoa.
in order to turn them into a bench.
Who's doing it?
So it's the
The
Ladue
middle
Middle School Planet Protectors.
They should put a little basket here. We'll reach out.
There you go.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do they have
They can-
receptacles or how are they?
So I have just sent out, you didn't see it in the email, I guess. I've had it in the emails that I've sent out that if people have bottle tops, I have a little bin out by my front door that people can drop them off into. And I have gotten some.
We should put one here
We
and
should
put
put
one at city.
We
City
should,
Center.
absolutely. Yeah, we'll do that.
I'm gonna ask an indirect question on that. My lack of limited knowledge of recycling. I thought when you recycled a bottle like that, you were supposed to leave the cap with it to recycle it. Is that not true?
So
That came up at,
Okay, because my wife keeps telling me I can't take off the lid. It's gotta be dried out
So
and
you
recycled.
are right.
Okay.
If you if you have a bottle like that, it is best to leave the top on.
Okay,
Because if the tops are off, or if you try, you can't recycle the tops in a recycling bin separately.
okay.
They end up, I think they are like tangled.
They fall through.
get,
Yeah,
yeah.
they fall through and they fall.
Mess up the
Yeah.
machinery.
You know, like plastic
But,
bags.
yeah, so this is, you know, one way to actually use those.
Right.
Okay.
Tops.
So they have to be collected en masse as just caps. Just like, so I thought the bags that got collected and went back to the shopping centers, grocery stores were just thrown away, but they actually, Trex Deck organized that. So they actually do that at the grocery stores nationwide to ensure they have the right kind of plastic for their benches. So it's that, when you talk about the PPP and then the other things, it's one of those weird things that we're incentivized to use those bags, so it's benefiting a business that's making plastic benches. So it's kind of a weird thing that you talk
So
about.
when Joelle from Republic Refuge was with coffee at the mayor,
Mhm.
she talked about having the caps on bottles if
Yeah.
that's a preference.
But you can recycle that bottle without the cap, but
You
you shouldn't
absolutely can.
recycle the cap without the bottle.
Correct. So it used to be, in the early days of recycling, they would only take the bottle, you'd have to throw away the cap, but now they've allowed it now. Yeah. So that is a change from what we got trained on.
Well, then drop them off. at
Any
her
other
house.
questions for Kate?
Put them in a bag and take them.
Are there any
Uh,
other questions for Kate?
And for
Uh,
those of you
you've
who I
got the
might have
wildflower,
missed,
yeah.
I also brought a little Missouri Wildflowers Nursery catalog. If you're interested, it's all native plants. It's a really great resource and just fun. to
I
look
greatly
through.
appreciate this because I have no clue what is a native and what is not. And I was having a conversation with someone over the weekend. And they were trying to tell me about, I think it's this Texas green eye, actually. And, I was like, okay. She was like, no, it's a native. I was like, okay, I'm trying to figure out. So it's good to have pictures. Thank you. I appreciate that.
And the other thing is,
Up there has gotten much more native oriented too. So
Oh, really?
it's, right here in our
Yeah.
community.
These are all.
Buy a lot of natives. up
and the
there now.
night before the native plant sale, there's gonna be a native workshop,
Yeah, it's
native
fun.
plant workshop here as well.
That's coming up, isn't it?
Yeah, it is
April
next Friday.
20.
And that's
And
Friday.
they've designed the curriculum for the little garden plants you can take home to meet what you can buy the next day at the sale. So they wanted to
Figure out
make sure.
Yeah.
The sale sells out
It's
very
7:59.
They are,
Yeah.
like, gonna have like 900 plants.
I think they,
Yeah,
they said they doubled
Yeah,
the
they
order.
doubled, yeah, they almost
They
doubled the order,
doubled
yeah, so hopefully it'll last longer than in 45
Yeah.
minutes this
I'm
time,
gonna try.
yeah.
All right, well, thank you
Okay,
guys.
thank you
Thank
so
you.
much.
So much.
Yeah,
Thank
appreciate
you.
it. And I'm gonna hang for a little bit longer, if that's all right.
Got it.
We enjoy the company. We don't have company very often.
We should definitely sign up because she sends out some great information on our community and the whole St. Louis area, just things to participate in or know about. So, great.
Okay, moving along. I think the minutes are in your packet. They've been out. Does anybody have any corrections for the minutes? If not, I will entertain a motion to approve the minutes of the March 2024 meeting.
So moved.
Second,
Second.
all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? So they're accepted. So moving along to the department monthly report.
I do want to point out that we had a attachment issue, and when these all got printed out, we noticed that the last director's report is in here, so it will be corrected and uploaded on the website. So if you're trying to follow along, reading this director's report, you will be looking at last month's.
And
So, still a good
when
read.
You say on the website, you're talking civic?
Yes,
Civic, yeah. so
With the agenda
all-
minutes.
The Olivet under
Yeah,
yeah.
agenda minutes.
Yeah.
Okay, good.
we'll update that tomorrow morning.
Okay.
So I just wanted everybody to know that, so you didn't think you didn't get the right things. So some of the rec division updates that we wanted to tell you about, first is Holy Festival, obviously, she alluded to that earlier, that you know, we had a ton of great things going on there. It was, despite being a little chillier than it was last year, we still had a great number of people. And
Give an idea what the count was.
Over 2,500. Yeah, which is probably one of the biggest events that we've ever done. And in my tenure with the city, it's our largest, it's bigger than Turkey Trot, it's bigger than everything.
again, it's longer than Turkey
And it
Trot
went
is.
very well.
Yeah.
It's very well organized. They,
Yeah.
I think, I know Parks did a lot, but then the group that.
Yeah, we partnered with a great agency, and then the police department, the fire department really had a greater involvement in the planning this year. So next year, we will be looking for additional parking. Bear offered their parking if we couldn't park on the field, but next year we'll probably be reaching out to some of the other parking lots along Olive to have additional parking, because there were times at peak when we had to shut the parking down for about 45 minutes. People tend to come for about an hour and then leave, but there is a height, like around 2 o'clock, where we hit maximum density. So we'd like to have a couple other parking options to take that pressure off in Stacy. But it was fantastic, and we had, I'm unaware of any complaints that came into the 911 call center this year. So, which is phenomenal. So that's, I mean, it's, to have that many people and to not have complaints come in is amazing.
And it was an incredible crowd. I mean, people were having fun, but it was very orderly.
And friendly. everyone-
Yes.
yeah.
Very joyful.
Yeah,
It's like-
very joyful, and all ages, and I love seeing the ages. I mean, you see from tiny babies to very elderly people, it's really nice.
And it was, we walked there and back, like, people were parking and coming from all different areas, and everyone on the street, so like I did the pathway, were just like so friendly and so excited to either be coming or going, and the kids were covered in the colors, and they were
Right.
so tickled.
Yeah, yeah, and last year we learned through the data analysis of cell phone traffic that the majority of the people, like close to 70% of the people that came within a 2-mile radius of Stacy Park. So a lot of residents are there, which is amazing.
And so if people are worried about, would get color on you if they do and all that, and don't want to, you don't have to do that.
Right.
Because we see all the pictures of the colors.
Yeah.
But it washes out.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Absolutely.
I don't know, I've got a shirt that I can't get it out. I'm like, am I doing something wrong? Everybody's
Give
like,
it to Susie.
yeah, it's just like right on the collar, right, like where you could see it, so. But yeah, it was a great event. You know, there's some things like Beverly said, parking that we can improve on, and but we had plenty of staff in place and went rather smoothly, so. Katie talked about the tremendous event that we had the other day. There's another event that we co-sponsored with them, and you know, it was another well-attended event. We had our fitness expo a couple weeks ago here at Five Oaks, and mainly that was just a chance for people to stop by, meet some of our instructors for fitness classes, dance classes, yoga, karate, and our personal trainers as well. They were also able to go around and show people how to work some of the machines, kind of explain things a little more in depth than somebody like a fitness attendant could do. So they could actually, you know, help them, you know, navigate that area back there a little better than a fitness attendant. So I feel like Kate stole all my thunder here with the movie night.
You're trying to move her along.
That's good. That's why. Our movie night, again, it was around like 52 degrees, I think, that night, and we still had 80 people there at Stacy for the movie night. So that was a great event, you know, that didn't expect to have 80. We were kind of worried that we weren't going to get that attendance, but we did. We also had a utility assistance program, and that is basically for people that need help with financial assistance and paying their utility bills. And this was attended by Ameren, Spire, and Castle.
The advocacy group.
I know.
Yeah.
So, and they were basically, people were able to just go in there and meet with actual individuals. I mean, for anybody that's had to call a utility company, it's not an easy thing. And to have them here, you're actually able to sit down and talk to somebody and and sign up for programs, whether it be financial assistance or also help upgrading your home for energy efficiency too. So they had a bunch of different people, and there was a steady stream of people coming in for that as well.
Yeah,
So how often are we doing those?
once a year.
Once a
Yeah.
year?
Yeah, so we had over 36 people and about 85 to 90% relevant residents and with very high success rate. The majority of people qualify. Yeah, we're still waiting for the actual numbers. They'll tell us exactly what the zip codes were, but our staff does not engage with that because we want to
Right. No, I
maintain privacy. But they will give us a report in the next couple of weeks.
Is that something we should look at for more than once a year?
Potentially we could look at it more than once a year, but we've traditionally, yeah.
Yes.
And I know they do have some utility assistant program days at like the library as well, so there's
Right.
some other resources out there if they want to go to it more than once. Those of you that came in probably noticed the
Question on that. Do we work with like the library and others to do it, so we're spread out through the times, it's not all the same months?
Right,
Yep.
right.
For those of you that came in today, you probably noticed the new art that's hanging up out there. That is all from Marty Coulter, and he's got a wide range of paintings from old exotic cars to live painting weddings to scenic realist landscapes and, you know, really beautiful paintings out there. We've had, what, 6 or 7 already sell.
He's sold several.
So it's pretty cool to see these things go up and then immediately sell. So that, and it's also neat to kind of have these rotating throughout the months in our building, just because it kind of.
Is there an opportunity for how do artists, sign up to?
They inquire with us, so we're booked out through the year, but anybody that inquires, we meet with them, we look at their portfolio. Right now, we're pretty much accepting everybody that exhibits. If we get to the point where we have to turn people away, we will go to a anonymous jury. But right now, we're accepting just about every artist that comes in. We've had one artist that didn't quite meet the criteria, so we channeled them to the youth board. They will be doing a youth exhibit at the end of the summer. So it was someone who's very young and their artist, not quite emerging artist level yet. Our next show is with Arts is Healing. That'll be a 2-month show because they have quite a few artists, and that opening is in May. And Arts is Healing is a nonprofit for people that have experienced grief or loss, go through arts and as a means for coping with your grief, and they produce wonderful artworks. So that group, that show is opening, I believe, the 3rd of May. So you're all welcome. All of our first nights are open to the public. You're welcome to come and meet the artists. It's really a great experience.
They also do a tremendous amount of work at the Cancer Center. at
They
Motown.
do,
And,
yes.
it's a great organization.
Yeah, they
Can you say
really,
their name again?
Arts
Arts
as Healing.
And they'll be doing May and June.
They are doing May and June.
And they
that's
have
right.
an awesome-
Because they have over 6, I think the last time I counted 16 artists, so it'll fill everything.
Are they doing any projects here as part of that?
They aren't this time around. We have talked about them if they have their own studio.
Okay.
So they tend to do their activities there, but we have talked about ways we could partner in the
I
future.
got an email from them and it sounded like they were gonna teach a class here at some point. Is that not?
Well, we hope they will, but I haven't heard anything yet.
Cause it sounded like from their newsletter that they're pursuing that.
Okay. Oh,
Which
that's
would be
great.
Great if we could get them to do their.
It would be
classes
great.
here.
I would love to have their classes here.
Okay.
Is there any preference to Olivet residents or?
If Olivet residents contact us, absolutely. So, we have a Olivet resident coming in the summer, with some photography. We have, I'm not sure if she lives in Olivet, but we have an Olivet, a woman who grew up in Olivet, went to Old Bonham, and, her art was fired by having Lisa Roth as an instructor, and she went on and got her MFA. Name's Lauren Young. She's exhibiting in August. So we have really nice diversity between mediums. So right now we have oil painting. The next show is all sorts of mixed media. Then we have photography coming in. Then, can't remember what Lauren's medium is. And then, in November, we're having an artist collective come in. So there'll be jewelry, there'll be all sorts of 3-dimensional art as well as paintings.
Yeah, you mentioned the youth gallery. So
Yes.
what-
So the youth gallery is the gallery down the hallway. So the school next door was our first show. And we've reached out to the artists, the art instructors at local schools, and they need, you know, really long ramp up time for that. So we're really focusing on that taking off next year. We've talked to the teachers at Old Bottom and at Logos. And we'll be reaching out to Spady and making sure that all of the Ladue schools are able to have that opportunity. But it is a lot of work for teachers, so we really want to be sensitive to that. And if they don't plan it into their curriculum, it's really hard for them to suddenly come up with a show, because it's a lot of work for them to hang it. And then work with their kids to produce it and then not getting any feelings hurt with who's not selected. So some teachers choose not to do it. So, you know, we want to be sensitive to that as well.
I'm curious, and we may have talked about this at one point in time, but when they sell paintings here, is the parks getting a cut of?
We get 10%,
Okay.
right? So if they sell it on their own, or if we sell it, it's 10%. Established galleries do 50%.
Yeah.
But we are not
Sure.
on that level at this time. Now, if we get really overwhelming response and we start having to vet it and do the jury, then we would probably increase that.
Does that go through the city or does that go through the foundation?
It goes to the city.
The last update for recreation was, summer camp update. Our summer camp has been open now for a couple months and our registrations are really starting to pick up as people start to kind of plan their summers, and we've still have room, for registration in all of our weeks, but they are starting to get colder every week. Jill has kind of put together some of our schedule for that. We'll talk a little bit later too about how we're gonna incorporate, Parks and Recreation, month into camp this year, and that is about it on the rec side. We also had, youth baseball started last weekend as well, and they had probably the most beautiful weekend to start baseball last weekend. So, you know, 80 degrees and sunny, so it's great to get that going and see all those fields, have Warson Field open again, and kind of leads into something I'll talk about a little bit later. Our park staff has done a lot of work to the fields. We brought in tons of dirt to try and level those fields out. In the past, we would get rain and then we would just kind of totally swamp an area of the field. So by adding this dirt and leveling everything out, hopefully we can keep more games from being canceled. We've got some drainage issues with here at Warson Park that we're gonna look to address this summer. Basically, all that water runs down the hill and floods first baseline, obviously dangerous situations. So some of the things we're gonna do and try to divert that water from that dirt.
Well, we have one. That's kind of collapsed, so we're working.
What's the registration with the youth baseball? We seeing the same inquiries with the partnership with the schools and everything?
Yeah, so we're still doing the same thing. Baseball, it's kind of an enigma compared to the other youth sports like soccer and basketball. Baseball, it's just like everybody's kind of experienced, you know, around here with baseball and the Cardinals, it just kind of ebbs and flows. And this year we're down a little bit from last year. But I know that it'll bounce back. I mean, we're not down much. We're down just, you know, a handful of teams. So, and sometimes that's because they are getting too old and they can't play here anymore because we don't have enough teams for that division. So we're working on that as well. But yeah, I think it'll come back next year. But our goal going forward is to really try and keep people here, not just at, you know, to third or fourth grade. It's to keep them here to fifth, sixth, seventh. So really try to keep them here instead of having to go find another league after third or fourth grade, because that's just, as a parent myself, I know that'd be a big pain to go do that, you know, after they establish something. So we want to keep them here and keep them playing here. So for Parks Division, they also have opened the restrooms. April 15th, we open all the restrooms in all the parks. So those have been opened for people, obviously, the weather. We are getting a lot of use in our bathrooms and a lot of use in our parks. With that, and also comes some unfortunate things. We've had some vandalism in our parks and just wanted to kind of let you guys know mainly some of this stuff. The greatest part about it though is that we find out about it and we're able to act on it within 24 hours in those cases. Goes with, I think this was Monday, we got a call that there was a broken piece of equipment that had, possibly been played on by some big kids. But so we were able to get that out of there the same day and they were able to address that, ordered a new part. So, but if you guys do see anything like that in the parks, please let us know and give us a chance to get out there and get it cleaned up. We don't want spray paint or graffiti vandalism. We've had.
Is that basically what you?
Yeah, that's what I was gonna
That was
ask
the
too.
question.
Yeah,
kind of
like what are we talking here?
So we had some graffiti spray painted on one of the slides
Villa.
at Villa. And then at Indian Meadows, we had the bathroom door was kicked in and there was also spray paint with that and just kind of general vandalism.
Yeah.
So
So we've had spray paint twice at Indian Meadows in the last 2 months. Villa ebbs and flows. Some years at Villa, we have a lot of vandalism and other years we don't see it for a little while. So I'm hoping this doesn't show an increase. With working with the police department, kind of the age of the kids going through that neighborhood sort of can lead to that. It tends to be kids that live in a close proximity to the park. So we record everything, we photograph everything, we do a police report for everything, even if it's minor, because we actually do catch the vandals, then the police department works with them and their families. We oftentimes don't turn it into juvenile hall because that's not exactly what we want to do, but we want the parents to know. We recently had an issue at Indian Meadows where a lot of big 2-liter recycling bottles were being dumped in the park next to the trash cans, and we got a lot of calls from the neighbors about it. And the police department went out there and they actually found the young man who was doing it. Turns out he was very young and he was buying things he wasn't supposed to eat or drink. And so the police chatted with the parents, they became aware of it. So we really try and have it be a teachable, good experience and not, we certainly wouldn't want to ticket someone for littering the park like that, just really more community policing rather than harsh issues with that. Indian Meadows, we've had like mud thrown on the slides, which I don't think is a problem, but the neighbors get very upset and call about it, so we power wash it. So it's interesting what people call and report.
The opening of the restrooms, are they being locked every night and reopened every morning?
Yeah, so the police department locks them every night and then unlocks them every morning. And I think Sue, she was at Stacy Park and they, sometimes things happen and the shift change and they aren't able to unlock the restroom. So Sue let us know and I was able to call the watch commander and get them unlocked right away. So if you're out there and you see something, don't hesitate to call me, even on the weekends, it's okay. Yeah.
Text goes a long way.
Text goes a long way. And then if there is something serious and you can't get a hold of us, there's that non-emergency number that you can call and they'll dispatch or they'll have an officer call you. So if anybody doesn't have that, I can give it to you right
Hey,
now.
Beverly, is there any thought about posting that near like the restrooms in the park?
It's on the city's website. So what we want to avoid is people calling because they couldn't get their pavilion reservation, which happens. So, but we are going to be putting out some suicide prevention signs. That's kind of a push that's happening locally with the Parks and Rec community because there was an incident with someone that's near and dear to everyone in the Parks and Rec community, a local employee. So we are going to be putting out some of those. We have had suicides in Villa Park and Stacy Park in recent times, so we'll put those up for sure. The non-emergency number for the police department is 314-645-3000. And that's the same dispatchers that answer 911. They sit right next door. And there's a keypad that tells you, if it's a true emergency, hang up and call 911. But you can push a number on there to say that you want a police officer to respond to your location. So that's what you want. And then you just tell them what you're interested in. So like I called and I asked for the watch commander to call me. And then I said, hey, can you please open the restrooms? So that's easy. Then during the summertime, when our park staff are working on the weekends, I don't have to do that. I just call the park staff. And you'll probably see them out there on the weekends too, when we're out there.
Moving along, Olivet and Bloom coordination, we've been coordinating them to kind of get all these dormant beds ready for the spring, and that means turning on irrigation, making sure that, you know, we get mulch in areas that need it, and also you know, kind of clean those areas up, get rid of any, you know, dead plants that are in there and start to address those. So Brian is working with Olivet and Bloom on that, as well as the rest of our park staff. And we also, council, the last council meeting, I guess that was 2 weeks ago. They did approve, for us. The mowing company we used last year sold their business, and it was bought by a guy who started a new one. He didn't, you know, exchange his name. so
One of
we
their
didn't get
employees.
that.
One
Yeah,
of their
one of their employees. So we were kind of left it with, you know, a mowing season coming up and not having a contract with that company anymore. So we brought it to council and they approved us to merge with the new one. So we kind of are using them for this year. We'll probably likely put that out for an RFP for next year for a mowing contract, but they're familiar with the whole staff. It's the same. They're familiar with our parks, with everything going on for the Great Rivers Greenway. It was kind of important for us to find somebody that knew the areas that need to be mowed and how they need to be handled. And then we had all these different projects with all these, you know, prairie grass and things that we can't mow. So it was nice to be able to do that and saved us a lot of headache. We are working through some things with them in regards to some of our parks that have construction going on, specifically in the meadows, trying to get those areas cut because they are tough to get into when there's, you know, they're mowing at the same time the construction is going on in the greenway. So sometimes it's tough for them to go get into those areas.
What's the company?
It's R&J Landscaping.
We used to use Vote Lawn Care, and they won the bid 2 years ago, and we were due to roll it over. So we typically do 3 rollovers. So in awarding the contract to the new company that's made up of the old company, one of the criteria we set was that they had to honor the same pricing. So we have 3-year-old pricing going forward, which is really helpful because the mowing contract is our largest contract in the Parks Division. It's quite a bit of money and it's a lot of heartache when it doesn't go correctly. We have a lot of nooks and crannies. People don't know we mow. So like, for example, on Hillendale, behind the homes in there, the right of way where we have the pathway that goes from Stacy to Dealman Road continues. There isn't a path there, but it continues, and we're required to mow that as part of our agreement with the city of St. Louis to have the pathway. So those areas they can't, you know, typical mowers can't find. So having someone that is tried and true really helps us because it really impacts all the homeowners there. They also mow odd places in the industrial parks, on Post Road, all these weird spots, the traffic circles on 170. Yeah, so even though you think, oh, our parks are kind of finite, it's a really complex. And in order to mow, they have to load up all their equipment and then transport it across town. So it's not just mowing, it's picking it up and moving and keep going. So it costs a lot more than you would think. It's shocking.
Have they ever
Also
thought
like-
about bringing it in-house?
The city did do it in-house several years ago. The size of the mowers and the cost to maintain them was very high. So the other thing that happens, if they mow, then they're not doing any of the other jobs. So it used to be that we had 3 workers that would mow and that's all they did. And then we had 1 horticulturist left over. So now with the park crew now, because we have so many beds to take care of, trees to take care of, we're able to take care of those. So prior to the city going outside, the tree work wasn't done and the maintenance wasn't done. So, you know, it's a balance for that.
I'm just thinking it would be a seasonal employee, so or seasonal
Oh,
employee,
seasonal employees
So-
for mowing?
yeah.
Yeah, we do struggle to get seasonal employees. If the job market changed, it would be very attractive to do that. Absolutely, yeah. Personal update.
I didn't see, before we move to that, I didn't see anything on the garage sale. That was
Oh.
last week.
It was last weekend? Yes, it was last weekend and I haven't heard anything about it, so no news is good news. I know we had, as typical, we had more homes on Saturday than on Sunday. Do you have anything to, I don't have anything to report.
Yeah, no, I didn't
You know
hear.
how many homes or?
Yes.
It was a long.
It was
Yeah.
about 20, I think.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, I can tell you exactly.
You know, the school behind us they were doing a sale.
yeah, we did get some calls, about people that are in apartment buildings that were interested in participating. in
We
that.
had, we had 24 on Saturday and 12 on Sunday.
Is there a criteria for them? I'm a yard sale person and, when I traveled Saturday, it was minimal.
There's, the criteria is they have to live in Olivet. And, you know, we tell them, we give them, you know, tips to have how to have a good garage sale, but we don't vet them, we don't do anything, it's.
Okay, because most of them, I mean, like, at one point, people just had stuff at the curb, like, this is free, take it.
Oh.
So, I mean, yeah.
Yeah, I don't know.
So,
Yeah, I know that when, I learned very quickly when I first was hired, I was hired in the fall. And my position had been vacant for 6 months and they didn't host one that year, and the calls to the city center. Because there wasn't one, when I came in, that was one of the first things they said is you gotta have a garage sale. So right. So when we do one a year as opposed to 2 a year, there's a lot of hue and cry about it, but sometimes it's better when we do one a year. Then we used to try and coordinate it with the e-waste, so if something didn't sell at the garage sale, you could bring it to e-waste, and that didn't work out this year, but,
I just wonder.
yeah. Did you see, was it better earlier in the day?
Mm-mm.
No?
No, I mean, I came out probably, cause I went to Newtown first. But when I got to Olivet, it was about 11,
Okay,
and I mean, still early.
yeah,
But I didn't see half of the people that were on the list.
that were on
I
the
mean,
list that had stuff out there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's pretty, I mean, last year I racked up, but. But, you know,
Yeah,
just
I don't
depends, I guess
know.
people are not, you
Yeah.
know, spring cleaning needs to happen, so.
Get out the week of the boat.
Yeah, bulk is next week.
I got some good things like.
Shop at Rams.
Before we move on, for parks, 2 questions. What's going on in the dog park?
Oh, we're seeding an area.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm about to take my dogs back because apparently the canine flu is.
Oh,
Passed.
yeah. So, there's an area that they put some snow fencing up inside
Yeah.
to improve the grass in there.
Okay,
Yeah,
We had a big hole.
yeah, there was a
okay.
big hole.
We haven't been there since fall when it,
Yeah,
Yeah.
okay.
yeah.
And then I'm assuming in Villa, they're doing the concrete work for the drain, which
They
is why
are.
that's all.
Yeah, we have enough.
Oh, I'm sorry, am I cutting ahead?
No, that's okay. We have a park projects item.
Okay,
So
oh, I didn't see it. I was trying to look at it. Okay.
Yeah, no problem. Yeah. Good observation.
Oh, it's hard to miss. It's big and orange.
Right, yeah. When there's one in Morrison too.
Yeah.
So we have a couple of personnel updates. Marvin Krumer, who is our recreation program supervisor, has moved on to a new position with the Bellefontaine neighbors.
Yep.
And over the director position
Yeah.
there. So if you have noticed on our website, we have posted that job. We have also posted the building maintenance technician, which was the person who's responsible for a lot of the room setups, working with our janitorial contract, and also kind of odds and ends in this building. He left to go back to his former position at BJC, so we are accepting applications right now for both of those. We'll probably start interviews next week for those.
What's the second one again?
So for the,
Building maintenance supervisor.
Building
Yeah, so that was
For this
Timothy
building.
Williams. Yeah, so Marvin is an incredible opportunity for him. So it's a loss for us, but it's fantastic for him that he'll be the director at
How long was he
Bellefontaine.
here?
He was here for a year and a half.
He started
Wasn't very.
before we even opened
Yeah.
the building.
Right.
That's what-
Yeah, he started before him.
And
He was
has he already
formerly a-
left,
Yeah,
or-
he was formerly a director and then he
Okay.
was here. But he was formerly
So
director.
he's already gone.
He is,
I
yeah.
feel like I just saw him.
You might have.
Like This
Yeah.
last week here,
Yeah,
like,
he was
like
here.
went and worked
Yeah,
out.
Friday was his.
Could've sworn I saw him.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, so we're sad to lose him. He did a tremendous job and really helped us build the partnership with the schools. But you can't fault him for being
Great
director. That's
opportunity.
fantastic, yeah. And then Tim, who came to us from the private sector, was lured back. They wanted him back and they offered him a lot more salary than we can do, so. You know, there's a shortage of people, but we've had some very strong applicants for his position, so we're looking forward to the interviews for that.
And moving on to our upcoming events that we have not only running in-house, but also partnered with people to run. Those events are held all over, not just here at Five Oaks. So we have the plant workshop.
Advanced Society.
Oh, it did on here. They didn't advance something,
Is it frozen?
maybe.
Karma.
Are you unplugged?
No,
Are you sure?
no, that it's over.
Oh, it's
Yeah.
Wi-Fi, okay. Are you sure?
I'm sure. Sorry, guys. Figure this out, guys.
What if you stop screen sharing and do?
Frozen there.
We can do it without it.
Okay, usually about now I get a text from someone saying the slides aren't advancing, but I have no slide, but Kate's here. Tell me that the
I'm the
slides-
one who usually.
Anybody that's online, the slides aren't.
Yeah. Those lights are.
I'm gonna try doing this. Beverly, you wanna?
Yes, I'll start.
Okay.
So upcoming events, we have the native plant workshop. We talked about the native plant sale. The Keystone Art Gallery, we've already talked about. Party in the Park is May 4th. This is a great opportunity for people to come out. We'll have an informational booth there. And a lot of, it's a great event. You see a lot of families there, which is wonderful. Sweet Reads is back. We thought they weren't gonna come last month. Their truck had a big breakdown, but they suddenly showed up, which is a wonderful way to interact with a lot of people. Star parties are picking up speed. We're doing star parties every month except for July and August when it's brutally hot. We get very low turnout, so we won't be doing those.
How did the one go this?
It went well,
Good,
yeah.
good.
There were a lot of astronomers. There were more astronomers than people, which is usually it's the other way around. And they were, great views of Jupiter because Jupiter is so close to the moon right now. So that was great. And then, oh, excellent. Thank you. The pickleball mixers are wonderful. If you are interested, we get a great crowd. It's really fun to play in the evenings. So that's what we got the next couple of months. And then follow us on social media. Please move this one. Okay, all right. Yeah, that was cool. Okay, and that's all we have.
Hey,
Okay.
Dad, can I share something? that
Sure.
I learned that I did not know. There's a really cool app called Skyview.
Yes.
It's free.
Yes.
You point at the sky. and
Yes.
It shows you what you're looking at.
Yes, and the astronomers that come to our star parties will show people how to use the apps, because there's
It's
like 3
awesome.
different ones.
I
And
had
most
no
of them
idea.
have free versions, and the astronomers there will show you on your phone how to use it.
So if anyone's listening in Skyview.
Yes, yes, thank you.
Okay, any more questions of Patrick or Beverly at this point? Not, we'll move along to the council report.
It's kind of just short and sweet tonight. Next week, on Wednesday night, not on Tuesday night, we'll be holding our next council meeting. It will be here and it will be the, election certification is on the agenda and the swearing in of, Sydney Clark as well, hopefully, on Zoom. And then we will be nominating the new mayor. I'll be completing my 2-year term. You're all welcome to come. And it's going to be here, which is kind of nice because this building is near and dear to my heart. And, in May, the Olivet and Bloom will be coffee with the mayor. That's Jan Fitzgerald, correct?
Yes,
And, And then, my intention is to stay on as the liaison to the parks. I have 2 more years as, on city council.
Another highlight of the council meeting on the 24th, fingers crossed, is the lower parking lot approval.
Correct.
So, yes, that's a highlight for us.
So they get to see it firsthand.
Pardon me?
They'll get to see it firsthand.
Yes, yes, when they vote on it, they can look at the decrepitude and approve the incredibly high price tag.
Convenient.
Is there a reason that the city council meetings moved to?
Because it's on a Wednesday night and not a Tuesday night because of Passover.
Okay.
It's Monday and Tuesday night are the first 2 Seder's. And, Wednesday night is in the
Court.
chamber is for,
Okay.
so that's why it's gonna be here.
Any other questions for Maxine? Or should I say the mayor? Okay, moving along, July in the parks.
July is Park and Recreation Month. So the National Recreation and Park Association worked with Congress many years ago to establish July as Parks and Recreation Month. And every year we participate in it. In your packet, you have a staff report from me, and I'll just go over kind of the highlights. So the city, every year, the department does special activities around July as Parks and Recreation Month. When the park construction was going on, we did mostly social media because our parks were all under construction. But the point of it is to really engage with people, to learn about the benefits of parks and to provide opportunities for them to participate in our parks. July, sometimes the weather is suboptimal in Missouri, but we still have a full slate of activities. So, before we did pass Prop C, we did a formal declaration at the city council designating July as Park and Recreation Month in Olivet. So this year, with the completion of the park renovation projects, we're recommending that the council do a proclamation again as well. And then we are also planning a bunch of activities, including, if you go to the next page, please, including a party on the patio this year. So this is a list of some of the things we'll be doing. So we're recommending the council proclamation. We'll be tying in to our regular occurring activities, themes about the park and talking about the parks, and including just fun activities that kind of tie in. And then the summer camp, the Camp O during the week of July, the kids will learn a little bit more about community building in the parks. It'll be planned into their curriculum. We'll be conducting a photo contest for people to take current pictures or recent pictures in the parks. There'll be more information coming out about that. There is a park staff spotlight that we did last year that we'll do again, so that a lot of people don't realize we have these unsung heroes in our parks. You know, the people oftentimes see the recreation staff a lot, but their parks guys work so hard year round. So we do a little focus on them. And then there is a draft of the proclamation in your packet, so you can read through it. There's a template that comes out from NRPA, and we use that to kind of craft it with all of it. So for example, they talk about swimming pools. We don't have a pool, so we removed that. They also talk about how much nutritional and meal services that park and recreation agencies do across the US. And unfortunately, we don't offer that. So we moved those two, and then we added in language at the end about how many acreages of parks we have, our trails and our open space. But this is a wonderful way to really kind of focus in on all the economic and physical and environmental benefits of having a strong park system. So if you all want to take a minute to read it, and then we would ask for a recommendation to approve this draft to be forwarded to the city council.
Would that also, when you say social media of this and the
Yes,
highlight of both,
yes.
will Kiana be involved with some of that?
She is, yeah. Kiana attends our marketing meetings when she's
Okay,
able to.
okay.
Yeah, yeah. And we coordinate our social media with her to make sure that we're doing our posts, you know, together in a timely manner. We don't want to be, you know, lopsided.
And do we do those independent, or is there someone here that does social media as well as?
Yeah, all the Parks and Rec social media is created in our department, but we
Okay.
coordinate the titles with Tiana.
Okay.
Yeah.
Are there any questions or any? Thing to,
Is this an actual quote from the mayor?
It is not an actual
She doesn't-
quote from the mayor.
Here and shoe set my hand to cause the
That-
seal of Olivet.
That is the language on the city's
not-
template.
But that's not the Olivet language.
Well, this was the one that was on Denise's.
This is not what, isn't Jennifer Conrad's taken over, it's not.
So we'll probably, yeah, so it says up here, final will be formatted to city standards, so I don't have Jennifer's language, so Jennifer Conrad will format it, and then it gets very pretty, and it has, it's got calligraphy. on it.
Flowy and all that.
Yeah, and then it has the seal on it.
You can say, I won't be, set my hand.
Yeah, and it's kind of mean. I'm setting my hand and.
I know, it's the language they've had
It's
forever, never.
the new language is more like
On behalf of,
the city
Yeah.
council, it's
Right.
more inclusive of the whole council.
okay,
As the mayor of the city of Olivet, and on behalf of the city council, there's some language that Jennifer Conrad.
yeah,
Brought
absolutely.
to us and, personalized it to
That
this
is
community.
This is my first proclamation since she started, so that's great. Yeah.
so what is the ask of the commission?
So the ask of the commission, you have a recommendation here, a motion to approve the proclamation declaring July as Park and Recreation Month in Olivet for forwarding to the city council. And that's written on your report right here.
Do I hear a motion for that?
Once I find it.
It's on it's the
Oh,
page
it's the next
right
page.
before your draft.
Ah, there we go.
Yeah, when we do double-sided, it gets a little confusing.
Okay, I'll make a motion to approve the proclamation of declaration. July is Park and Recreation Month in Olivet and forwarding to the city council.
Do I hear a second?
I second.
All in favor, say aye.
Okay.
Opposed? So forth.
Thank you very much.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for your presentation. Thank you. Susie, thank you for joining us as well.
Yeah, that is- Moving along, one of the things that in your packet is it's a listing, I think we had it last month too, of what the Parks and Recreation Commission is about. And we're mainly a recommendation body to the city council, and I think that's in your packet. And one of the things that we do is, if you look down under section 125.040, we're advocates for the parks in the community. And we also review and discuss various and assorted plan.
Oh, no, it is in there.
Yeah, I did.
It's
yeah.
not in mine. That's fine.
Okay, here,
Yeah, that's, thank you.
And I don't have a copy of the agenda, but I did one out, so.
Here,
Here, look, it's more important you have it than me.
Yeah, right. Is that it?
I think what happened is, I think the last one went out.
Okay.
So here's the agenda.
Yeah, okay. No, I've got the agenda. I was just trying to. So anyway, bottom line on what we do is, one, we're advocates, which means basically we're cheerleaders. And we also help out with various park events. But the other thing that I think that we can do is help in terms of creating goals for us for the year. And we're at a crossroads right now because we have not, we've been so focused on Prop C and this and so forth. And so we need to begin to look, in my estimation, at some of the work plans from the previous years, but then also look at where do we need to go? Because we can't rest on our laurels. We need to really begin to look forward in terms of what's going on. And one of the things that I looked at, I'll pass this down. This was something from, that we
You taking
did.
one pass of it around?
Yeah,
or-
just take- and I'll pass down this one. I have it here. That it's what the master plans are, and it kind of fits into the goals. If you look down at the point, the master, where it is, and the questions that we're asking, is where are we? Where do we want to go? And how do we get there? And that's, to me, what the goal process is, and I would like to see the commission begin to look at the work plan, but think of it more expansively in terms of what are we doing? What do we need to recommend to council that we begin to do things, not to begin, but continue to do things, and what do we not need to do? And as we move along. And so, would open the floor. What do people, when you think of the parks and so forth, what do we need? What is the focus? Or some areas that we need to be looking at?
Can you narrow down your question? That seems,
Is that-
it's almost too open-ended.
Okay, okay, is it too-
I have another question before you even get to that. Are all the commissions serve in the advisory role in the manner in which this one does? Cause it seems as if other commissions do not. I mean, it seems like they have much more leverage.
Well, I think you can speak to the governmental, the PCDC is a different animal.
I think each one has its own, like it's own, like what you just said, like PCDC is its own animal. Because it has different ordinances and policy. I'm trying to think what some of the others are. EDC, I mean, each one is very unique in itself. But I think that Parks and Rec has been one over the years that like we were engaged with the parks process with the 10-year plan. And that's when I kind of started to get involved. But, you know, looking at the redevelopment of the parks, or what we did with the improvements in the parks and this building coming to fruition. So I think that now we're in the 10-year plan, it's kind of like, we need to look where we came from, where we're at, and what direction do we want to go? And I think it's always been about being ambassadors of programs. But, I recently had a conversation, said to someone, well, like, we want like 2 people to sign up for each program, so I always know that there's gonna be 2 people from Parks and Rec at an event. Everyone's encouraged and welcome, but there would always be 2 people, and someone said, but you have to have a purpose for being at that program, or you have to have, are you agreed, or what happens if they're counting on people and they don't show up? I mean, there's, it's where it's the level of commitment, I remember that first, Boo Bash when Bill was there, and we got the kids together, and right away you started doing like, activities with the kids, and you were just there as a Parks and Rec representative that night, but you knew how to like do crowd control with 50 kids for a costume party, for a costume, competition, so I'm not
Has
really.
not been forgotten either.
But, so I don't know if I'm really answering your question, but I think that we're very different than some of the other commissions.
But I think also, as I think about the last coffee with the mayor, we had the economic,
Rod Pattership and Don Doty, and they talked about that economic
they
development.
talk about, and that's really a recommendation group too. I mean, people come to them with plans and so forth.
Or they come to them with recommendations for EDC but then they're like the stepping stone to PCDC. They don't, like he said, we're a listening board, I don't know that they don't have any ordinances or policies per se.
And still someone with very little experience in all this. Can you give me an example of what can you tell me an example of your question, like an answer for what you're getting at? Cause I don't know if I'm following, like, where do we want to take the parks? I think the parks are great.
Well, I mean,
Like, I don't know if I'm
in terms of the parks, but where do we need to be looking at? Where are we not serving? I mean, we're doing a whole lot
Yeah.
But where are we not serving? Where could we do better?
So are you talking about?
Yeah, can you give me-
staff?
can you give me
Are
an
talking about
example?
The involvement
That's what I
of
was gonna
this,
say. Do you mean this?
this commission?
Yeah.
What areas are we missing? Who isn't coming to the park? Who are we not getting? What are we doing with the teens? What are we doing with certain populations? I think that's where I would.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, we have identified gaps in our program for sure. So we don't
So
have
where are
anything
those
for
at?
teens.
Where are
Yeah,
those?
so we don't have that
Well,
information.
we have a vision plan to create a youth commission because adults planning for teens is never successful. So one of the things we've talked about is to actually have a youth board that's junior high and high school students that plan activities with staff. And that's something that I asked to be put into the budget for next fiscal year, and I don't think it will be. I think it's gonna have to be 2 fiscal years. We're going into a little bit of a year of austerity. But that is something that I think could truly benefit this community, because that's a huge void in our program.
So where do the dollars come in then? I mean.
Well, for dollars for that, it would be minimal because it would be a staff member that's already on board. It would be a recreation supervisor and a recreation coordinator, be the liaisons to that program. And we already have them on board. So the financial impact is minimal, but creating a new commission, there is some, a lot of work that has to be done, groundwork with the council, an ordinance has to be passed. So, I don't think it's out of the realm yet for next year, but my guess is it will be. But we have an
Okay.
additional budget discussion tomorrow, and then we have another one next week, so I'll have more information on that.
Okay, when I look at that, I'm puzzled that we can't begin the groundwork on that at least.
Well, the groundwork's begun because we set it as a department goal. There's a department goal for it, but to create a new commission, there is a lot of work that has to happen. And the city council, I'm not even sure they're aware of it yet. That's something that's been on a staff level and it has to bubble up. But it's something we identified coming out of the Parks Master Plan that that's a huge void in our programming. But as any of you that have teenagers know, adults cannot plan
Sure.
teen activities. It
Yeah,
has
but
to
an
be from
adult
the
needs
kids.
to be part of, I think someone from this commission should be part
So
of that.
should,
In
as
conjunction.
an advocate.
Well, so youth commissions are staffed by recreation staff working with youth. The youth are appointed by the city council. It's a separate commission from this commission. It would not be the same.
It would be a subcommittee of this
No, it
commission?
would not be.
Well, I think
Why
it
not?
should be.
Why not?
Yeah,
Well, I've
There's
never,
funding out there for
I've
youth.
never seen a youth commission be a subcommission of the Parks and Rec
But
Commission.
why not?
Because they need to feel the autonomy. It's youth that are appointed from the high school and from the junior high. I don't wanna shut down the conversation and say it's not possible.
I mean, but
But
I
I've
think
never
that's
seen
the
it.
problem, and I'm just gonna speak honestly, for me, I've been on this commission for at least 7 years, and every suggestion seems to be shut down. And if this is part of something, there's decisions made absent of us,
Mhm.
and then we get the information when we need an approval. But we haven't always been part of the conversations that go along with it. And I think, like, even with this conversation,
Mhm.
I feel like a Parks and Rec member, one of us, should be part of the youth council to give them guidance to know what our vision is. But if we don't even know what the vision is, we can't do that.
Mhm.
And so to say that this has never been like that doesn't mean it can't be. So I just feel like every time we kind of get to a point where you're asking us suggestions.
Mhm.
And when we offer suggestions, they get shut down, or we can't do this, this is not how this holds. And that's why I asked the question, if we're an advisory commission, how are we advising if we can't make any recommendations?
Okay, well, I understand what you're saying. So
Yeah.
thank you for sharing that. I think that I will take that feedback back to the city manager and we will talk about it.
So the question would be, if it would be a separate commission, or could could we have a liaison from this
Mhm.
commission to that
Yes.
commission?
Similar to the
Like
mayor
I
being
serve,
on
right.
this
Yeah,
committee.
subcommittee.
I would like to see the stats of where we are missing. Where are the holes at?
That's what I was waiting for a pause. I mean,
Mhm.
I think the first thing that I would like to see in either start it, or if we have I'm a big believer in measuring first,
Correct.
then figuring out where's the gap and we can show the numbers,
Mhm.
then measure against that.
Right.
Do we have that as our first thing, determining how to gather those stats, a survey or whatever it may be? And then how do we share it?
Said we already had those. The gaps were already measured,
Well-
knew what they were. I don't know what they are.
What, in terms of the.
Well, actually, sorry.
Oh,
I,
go ahead.
no, sorry, no, it's your job.
So
Sorry.
that's-
This is what I do, what you're doing for a living, that's why I'm
No,
helping.
no, that's fine. I'm more than happy to have you.
I guess, let's give a chance for you to answer, because
So we can.
maybe we're
we can-
misunderstanding.
We can absolutely give a report on who's participating in our programs. Yes.
Sorry, less than that. I'm speaking for myself. More, if we know there's gaps, kind of that, less and less, what are those gaps?
Mhm.
I guess, couple parts. What are our strengths? What are our gaps? Because we want to keep those strengths going, but we don't want to focus on emphasizing our strengths. We just want to keep people knowing about them.
Right.
And then and then what are the gaps and what are the order we want to work on that? We probably can't, if there's 50 and I'm picking a number out of a hat, we can't do all 50 at once. Perhaps it's youth, perhaps it's, communities that we have within Olivet that don't participate or don't know.
Mhm.
How do, we don't,
Would you say 50 or 15?
50, I'm making it up.
Okay,
I
'cause
don't-
I'm thinking like there's 5, or, I was like.
I don't know, I don't know, I think we know,
Okay.
but and if we have it, I think, not today, because it's not fair of us to ask
Right,
that of
right.
you tonight. But in our next meeting or in a future meeting, what has already been done and how can we help guide that?
Mhm.
I think is where there's kind of the view that we don't know what to guide on.
Right. So like a SWOT analysis.
Yes,
Yeah, a SWOT, yeah, and.
But also then to be able to come back to this group and say, how do you want us to prioritize these? Like,
Mhm.
part of it is financial, part of it may be, well, we can put that in 2 years.
Mhm.
But maybe this group might think outside of the box and say, oh, but there's another way to go about that, because, someone here might have skills that they could be a liaison, and then one of your salaried staff might be able to meet with them once a month or every other month or something, or do a think tank it with teams or something.
and let me ask a question on that, because again, I think this kind of goes to, is it this commission's responsibility to help drive those, or is it staff's responsibility to say, this is what we're doing, and we say, okay? I mean, it's kind of two different angles.
Right,
Right.
And I guess
think-
which one is official, and I guess
but
that,
according to this, we review and give input on the annual budget and capital improvement plan. And I don't,
And then you can,
We've
is it
done
a
that.
little bit of both?
We
Is it a
do-
both?
We
But
do do
it's-
the capital project. It's actually coming next month. That's part of when we did the bond measure and we talked about when we rank.
well, the bond is separate from the annual budget.
It is, we don't. So. The capital plan, when it changes, we bring those projects here and you probably remember, we had the board up and people put their priorities, remember we did the dots. where you
Yeah, but
said-
that was for the proposition. I'm just saying on a regular annual basis, we should be
So
reviewing.
like
the
a
budget.
capital,
Like a capital budget.
like a
But the
capital
annual
project
budget
is that,
and the
that
capital
lower
budget.
parking lot, isn't that an example? Or that's,
Yeah.
The parking lot, the parking lot, project,
could have been a capital.
it is a capital project.
Right.
It was identified in previous years.
Right.
Yeah.
It's a vision plan.
That's part of it.
But I think what I'm hearing is we want to be very involved. We don't want to be involved because there's staff and there's governance side of things. But I think as we can begin to get involved in the process, maybe earlier on in it,
Okay.
that would be good. And then also, I'm also hearing about gaps.
Mhm,
If we can begin to look at program
mhm,
and begin to identify gaps.
mhm.
And also, coming up in this year, I don't know, you have mentioned some of the financial things, I think that's because the enterprise stuff. We're coming up on the 5-year of the 10-year plan to
Yes.
re-review, where does that fit into the overall? We
So,
have a 10,
yeah,
does everyone know about the 10-year plan?
Mhm.
And then we're going to revisit that halfway through. So what,
so that is on tap for the coming year. We're supposed to do
and
that.
that has not been
It hasn't been done.
scaled back.
No,
So
it's
the 24 or 25.
24, 25. Yes.
Coming up, starting July 1.
I mean,
Yes. It's the capital project next fiscal year is to reopen the master plan and to do we do analysis, we reach out to the public, we do the public meetings again and say, this is what we heard from you when we established the 10-year plan. This is what we've done so far. And then we look at the items that are coming ahead and we validate, are these still what people want, or has the needs or desires shifted a little bit? You know, we've already heard from, do you remember we had a discussion about removing some things from the master plan, like the parking lot on the west side of Stacy, but we could not do, when the commission requested it, we weren't allowed to do it because we can't change the master plan until we reopen it, because otherwise it's a published, approved document. The only changes can come through the process, the public process with the commission and the public.
So as one of our goals for this year, can that be a commission?
Absolutely.
commission work?
Absolutely.
So that is to revisit and how will that start? Or what is the start on?
I don't know. I have to talk to, we have a new city manager, so we have to meet with her before we start it and decide how she wants to structure it. And then it comes to the commission.
So is it easier for me to go to the meeting and as a citizen and make recommendations of what I think we're missing to get heard than to say it in here? Because that's what I'm feeling and hearing.
I thought I
that was
validated
very-
everything that was said about the gap in programming. We absolutely, I've said we will bring back a SWOT analysis for this group to go over our programming, to look at it and for you to help determine what the gaps are. So I'm sorry if I was not clear on that. And I believe that's what you were asking for. Okay. So am I wrong in that? Am I
No, That's what I want to make sure, because it says that we're reviewing, but are we allowed to recommend, are we?
Yeah,
Where are we
absolutely.
held at with this?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
So I'm trying to think of a way forward in terms of how we begin to do the work plan for the coming year.
Can I ask a question or make a request? I think what may help, and again, I'm speaking for only myself, but I think if in our next meeting, because again, I want to give you plenty of time,
Mhm.
not only the SWOT, but kind of over the next year, what are the big things that we're going to be talking about? You need to talk with city manager
Mhm.
so that we know, okay, these are kind of the big things that are gonna be coming our way.
Mhm.
I guess what it feels like at times,
Mhm.
is it's kind of, oh, here's X. And it's
Mhm.
like, wait a minute, this X seems pretty big, and like, oh, we've been working on this for a while, which you have and should be. But it's just kind of like, oh, I think you're being kind and wait till it's critical mass to bubble up to us, but then the commission's like, wait a minute, how did it get to critical mass? And we haven't had any input
Mhm.
up till now.
Okay.
Does that
Mhm.
appropriately sort everybody's?
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
So what is I'm looking for my notes because
You've got it, it's not everywhere.
I know I do.
Don't
So,
get them organized.
so what are we looking at what specifically are we expecting back next month? And how will we know that we've gotten that? Or the request of staff?
I'm speaking more than I should. I guess what's an appropriate time to come up with the SWOT analysis? Cause I know that takes some time to do right.
It does. Unless someone wanted to assist us with it.
But what's the data you said you already had? What is that?
What we have is, we have our participation rates. So we keep stats on all of our rentals, we keep stats on who's attended our programs and the age brackets of the programs. And we know we know internally when we look at what we're offering, like in our activity guide, there's gaps in there, and we identify that, and we look to find new instructors for different areas that we're not offering. But in the past, we had a building that no one wanted to come to, neither instructors nor residents. So this new building provides us this tremendous opportunity to now expand our programs. So, but it takes time. It takes time for staff to find instructors. It takes time to negotiate contracts with them and then offer them. And we operate on a quarterly system. So I think that I would say the staff have done a good job in populating activities for a brand new center, but we have a long way to go. We need to have more robust programming and a lot more programming.
Mhm.
Our guide needs to probably be 3 times or 4 times the size that it is.
Well, I got mine in the mail yesterday. I thought it looked beautiful.
Yeah, I brought mine and did everyone get theirs?
I did.
Because staff did a
Yeah.
wonderful job.
Yeah.
It
Thank
is
you.
really good and I know it looks simple, but it's not.
And I like that we got it in the mail this time.
Yes, we learned in wintertime that we had a beautiful winter guide that had even more programs than this one, and people are not ready for electronic only.
Mhm.
Yeah. So we learned a valuable lesson, but it costs a tremendous amount of money to put that out, unfortunately. So we have budgeting to do twice a year.
Okay.
I think back to I think my request,
Yes,
leave it at that, would be to provide what we know over the next year are activities that will be becoming large activities becoming our way. So they're, the budget, the large things that, you're gonna be talking with city manager or city council about, or larger policy or activities that are being discussed within staff. Just so we know, what's kind of coming. And at least I won't hold you to that, because knowing that will change, but kind of what's the roadmap? That staff sees coming. Then if we have a start to does everybody know what SWAT stands for? Sorry, we're throwing out acronyms as if I'm in my consulting mode.
Yeah.
Um,
Strength, weaknesses.
in where, opportunities,
Threats.
threats. Hopefully we don't have too many threats, maybe Clayton. Kind of a high level there, then, because we're talking, already, one thing I've noticed, we're talking a lot of our gaps are programs, but there's other things besides, programs are awesome, but there's a lot of other things that we do that we probably have gaps on. I mean,
Yeah.
so, but I think kind of starting there, I think will help provide a longer term view for this group, give staff, and I hate to make it sound like it's a us versus you, because it's not. To kind of pull that data together, because we're having a different view of information from you. I don't know. And so you need time to get that. And then we need to say, okay, now that we have this information as a commission, how do we want to start assisting or guiding or, staff with those future plans? Then that fits in with what does this need to be? Because I don't know. I go to 2 parks quite frequently. I don't know what goes on in Indian Meadows. It could be burned to the ground for all I would know. And that's sad as a commissioner. But I think getting more of that information helps me know, then start planning from there. But we need information, and we need bigger information to do more strategic thinking about.
Yeah, and I would just add, I think we also need a timeline to go with that, so that we know when.
Agreed.
At what point we will be reviewing budget, at what point we will be looking at capital projects, at what point we need to be looking, so that as information comes in.
But you
Yeah.
also have to remember, you have a new city manager, and I don't know, I don't think any of the commissions actually review budgets.
They don't. This is the only one that does.
Okay.
And it's very high level.
Yeah.
We are not opening up the operating budget. It's just to say, this is what our revenue projections are, this is what our expenditure projections are. That's all it is. The capital is absolutely ranked, but the commission puts their input on what they think are priorities for the new capital projects.
So one of the things that I'm thinking about is deeply as we're talking here is just about the efficiency of all this. And I can't help but wonder if it's high level, we're not diving in. What is the point or the
Yeah, what are we
purpose of us
supposed to do?
taking
Yeah.
time to do that? I'm not asking in a
Yeah,
negative way,
I-
I'm really curious what,
Yeah, I don't know that I inherited this.
yeah,
The capital project I've done with every commission
Yeah.
I've worked with, because it's really important for the commission to weigh in
Yeah.
on where we prioritize the new capital projects that are coming in.
yeah,
And we, you know, for many years, we've been focused on the park projects. They took priority.
yeah,
And the capital projects are not robust. I mean, we're looking at vehicles, we're looking at playground replacements. And oftentimes they're way far out because, you know, we can only spend the money that we have.
Yeah.
Yeah. But it's important though that we rank them
Yeah.
and prioritize them.
Well, I'm opinionated. I'm happy to give whatever I can give. I feel at times though, I have no idea what, like when you're asking these questions, I have no idea what you guys are searching for, what is needed. I know that I like coming to the meetings because we get to hear like your guys' updates, but then when it flips to the other side,
Yeah.
as a commissioner, I'm like, I don't know what exactly is needed from me, what's wanted, what information are we gonna talk about, you know what I mean? I kind of feel a bit lost once we get past the initial slides, you know what I'm
So
saying?
you
I don't know if
want
I'm the only one that feels
So
that
you
way,
want
but-
the ask to be more specific?
Yeah, and, you know, now that I'm gonna
No,
take
please,
over
I
here.
go, go for it.
But, you know, to me, it's really hard, because the time allotment in these meetings, I feel like we get in these scenarios where it's rushed.
Mhm.
And I don't know if that's a common thing amongst, these groups, and I'm not by any means suggesting a weekly 3-hour powwow here by any means, but, some sort of balance in, topics. Like, I mean, if we were gonna do this agenda justice, I mean, we're 12 or 14, or I guess adjournment, I don't know if you count that, but you get what I'm saying. We got 14 topics and we're almost 2 hours in, and it feels like we still haven't even scratched the surface of this
Yeah.
thing.
Well,
So it's
you
like,
know,
how do we
that's-
balance that?
Yeah, that's a really good point. So the director's report used to be at the very end of the meeting. And then, I think, 2 years ago, Jim asked to move it to the front because there was meaty information in there and we weren't covering it. We were
No.
just saying, read it.
Yeah.
And we wouldn't present it. So that, I mean, that's a good point, that we can totally move that to the other
Yeah.
end of the agenda again to do that. The other thing that's interesting is Jim and I looked at other cities around here to find out what their goals were, their annual goals, to bring in examples. And then I emailed all the Parks and Rec directors in this area and asked them for theirs, and we found out we're the only one that has one. But we did find examples from other states. So we found a lot from Wisconsin and then the East Coast and the West Coast. So we really wanted to see how was it structured and done in other communities around here to see, is there a better way we could be doing it?
Mhm.
And we didn't find it. So I think that you brought up some great points because we've just done what's always been done in all of that. So it doesn't, it doesn't have to be that way. I think oftentimes I get irritated that we don't change things, so I appreciate the feedback, Keisha, because I really do want people to feel like they're here, their time is of value. Because it is important that we have public process. You know, our master plan was phenomenal, and this commission did an excellent job with that, so we can do better.
And it has become, since you've been here, a much more working body. But one of the first things you did was we had those subgroups for a while. And the working groups, I think is what you called them, and they would meet. I mean, as a chair, you would be calling groups and having them meet in between meetings and then come and report on those. So when you bring up the idea, you would come once a month, but if you had to meet for coffee with 3 people at some point between and then come and report about something, I think then it's more work gets done, that it's not just being reported to. it's more, you're making an investment as well, but it depends, you know, if it's time to evolve the commission, then that would be something that we need to take a deep dive into.
Like, I think COVID killed our, you know, our working groups. And I don't know, cause I'm on 3 and I don't think we've met,
Right.
you know, hardly at all.
No, we haven't.
Yeah, I couldn't tell you if I'm on one. I don't, I'm guessing.
Well,
But
and I think that could be an organizational thing, but
Yeah.
the interesting thing that I heard you say was that we guide and assist.
Mhm.
And so I think staff has got more than they can say grace over, particularly opening this year, but I think I agree with you. I don't think I agree with you on that we need to do some work in between, so this isn't just sort of a perfunctory kind of an approval process, and that people feel invested in it, because no one wants to do any of this without being, like, that they're not being heard.
Well, and I guess the last thing, and I'm gonna probably go a step too far. I guess really the question, if we're looking at this group, what is our purpose? Is it to be strategic? Because, I mean, we haven't been strategic since in a while. And that's not, this isn't a negative comment about anybody. We haven't, we've had great reports to us and we ask a few questions and then we go home. And if that's what we're here for, that's fine. I don't know that that's the expectation of the commission. And so I think we need to set those expectations. And if we need to adjust, then I think all this fits in with that.
Yeah.
Being strategic versus.
That's a great point, because
But I
I feel like we all hone in on like our certain thing. Like I ask a lot of questions around the kids and, you know, youth sports, and that's kind of my lane, and everybody kind of has their thing. And, you know, to your point, if it's to be reported to, I think we're doing a good job with that. If it's the other part, then it's like, okay, how can we kind of
How
be
do-
more impactful?
How do we help figure out
Yeah.
strategy for youth sports?
Yeah,
We're not, and maybe that's perfectly fine.
So, you know, to be frank, we would love that.
Mhm.
We would love that. And I think that, there hasn't always been an appetite for that. And I think that we adjusted
Mhm.
to meet the goals of the commissioners. So
Yeah.
I'm thrilled to hear that people want to be more active and want to have meatier roles. That'd be fantastic, because we are a very small staff.
Mhm.
And we try and do a lot. So having that assistance would be great.
And I think that, but one of the goals has always been, in addition to the strategic, is that visibility and ambassadors.
Agreed.
You know, like
That's in addition
You know,
to.
like when we
agreed.
had the opening of the building and people were here, people were in different parts of the building. You know, that was really important, and
Yeah.
that people knew that you were here as, you know,
Yeah.
Parks and Rec and.
Yeah. Having commissioners help at special events is invaluable. When we were doing the park master plan, you know, we had a table, we wanted people to engage, and Keisha actually took the list and went around to the crowd. And that was the most effective way that we got, you know, captured email addresses. So those types of roles, so commissioners know the residents, you have a gravitas, they can go out and engage people, and that is incredibly helpful. So that is, I can't minimize the role of ambassador or cheerleader, you know, it is really important. It's important for us for you to share what you're hearing from your neighbors, from your friends, from people you meet at the dog park. You know, that kind of sharing is invaluable for us, because you're like our eyes and ears in the community.
I mean, Sunday was a perfect example.
Yes,
I just happened to be in the park meeting someone,
yeah,
and I needed to wash my hands. And I walk over there, and there's two parents and a bunch of kids standing around trying to get in the bathroom,
right,
and no one knows what to do.
Mhm.
I go, I got this.
yeah.
Text.
How
within
fast did they come in on that?
Less than 5 minutes.
Okay.
I walked back to the table, sat down, and the person I was meeting with said, here comes the cop. I mean, I think I got your text that said they've been dispatched, and within 2 minutes,
Yeah,
he was walking to unlock it.
great.
So it's just a matter of being an ambassador, being present and asking questions. But I think the other thing we need is exactly what you did for the master plan. Is you identified where your staff could not staff things, like taking pictures. I mean, it was a simple thing,
Mhm.
right? And you got a group of people here that I think would be more than happy if you give us a specific ask.
Mhm.
So I just think we gotta keep doing that, and we've been doing that, is if you wanna see the gaps,
Mhm.
help with it, right?
Yeah.
Say, use me, right? And instead of asking you guys to just give it to us, we should be actively assisting with that,
Right,
in my
and,
opinion.
and get the data
Mhm.
and begin to work with that, so. I'm struggling right now, trying to figure out what the next steps are. I mean, I think we've talked about the SWOT analysis in terms of program.
Yeah, and I think that we may have to,
How can we help with that?
And I was gonna say, yeah, is that something, that's a great question. I mean, that,
Yeah.
as we're saying we can help, and then we're like, now come back to us with this stuff. As we just complained that we're telling you that you're coming back to us. I mean, what can we do to help with that?
Moving forward.
well, we could share our statistics and we could share our, we do surveys all the time. We
Mhm.
can share that information and you could help us build it. I mean, that would be, because it'll take a tremendous amount of staff time
Sure.
to do a
Mhm.
formal SWOT analysis. Absolutely. So some
So-
people hire outside firms to do it and we're not gonna.
Oh,
do
no,
that.
we're not.
But we could absolutely do it as a group. Yeah, and since you've done one before, having help would be fantastic.
Definitely do that.
So what would the next step be in terms of doing that? Because I'm also having worked with boards and worked with
Yeah.
commissions.
So I think
We don't
that-
want to get in your
Right.
way, but
Well, I
at the
think
same
that-
time.
I mean, if you wanted to do a working group to do that, that would be fantastic. That's a perfect example of a working group. And, actually, we call them working groups
I
because,
wasn't the other word before.
yeah,
Thank you.
the previous city manager did not allow us to have committees because committees could only be appointed by the council. So
Okay.
that's why we use that term.
Thank you.
Okay, so we have some of the other things that are coming up, kind of looking ahead during the years, that master plan is going to be a big project. The
Mhm.
opening up the master plan. We also still have to finish our fees and that the staff has absolutely not put time to that, and that's probably why you have not had a working group meeting on that. Because Patrick's been overwhelmed and,
And rightfully so.
yeah, probably so. We also, we're embarking on the Green Cities Challenge. We really need a green team and having park commissioners on the green team is vital. We've talked to Olivet and Bloom, we've talked to Olivet's sustainability advocates. They are very excited to participate with that. So we're already right there. We have residents, we need commissioners as officials, and we probably need one business member. So do you count as a business member because you have your own business?
I don't have my own business.
You don't,
I
okay,
used to, but we sold the company.
okay.
But it was a business.
All right, never mind.
Again,
We can find,
I
Yeah.
still have my LLC, so technically I am
Okay,
a business
but
owner.
I think in term, because we're getting a lot more businesses and.
we're getting a lot more businesses, yeah, and we have some green businesses that might be very helpful, okay.
So I'm hearing master plan,
Master plan, Green Cities
Steve?
Council, so once I talk to Jennifer about the youth commission, that could be something that this commission works on. And that would line up with our timing if we're not able to do it this fiscal year, but this commission worked on it this fiscal year to bring the proposal to council, then that could potentially be a project.
what about data? Would that help you folks in terms of collecting data? Because I know you can get a lot of raw data.
Mhm.
And that would fall under the SWAT.
Would that, so SWAT group?
Yeah, we could do a SWAT group, I mean, to do it well, it's gonna take,
No, it'll
Many
take
weeks.
hours,
yeah,
Mhm.
yeah,
But I think if we can begin to help with
That would
that
be
kind of stuff,
fantastic.
because I'm aware that we have
Mhm.
in the leadership roles, we've got two people that kind of coordinate a lot of things, but then you've got
yeah,
another.
and we have vacancies right now, so everyone's doing extra jobs right now until we fill those vacancies. And then we have, we have quite a few gaps in the parks too. We have a lot of gaps in the parks, so there's,
But would that come through the SWAT?
Yeah, that'll
I
come
think
through
it
the
should
SWAT.
come, everything under this
yeah, so
commission.
that's all gonna have to be in there. And then, so it'll be probably bifurcated into two,
Mhm.
kind of two focuses.
which would be
Would
SWAT.
be parks and.
Parks and Rec
recreation.
would both have a SWAT.
Yeah,
Okay, okay, so there would be.
Yeah, 'cause they would have different strengths and weaknesses between
right,
Parks and Rec.
Yeah,
right.
my concern is, are we biting off too much?
I don't know that it's all something we have to hit today.
And all at the same time.
Yeah, but I think it's something that we figure, you know,
Let's just start nibbling.
again,
Yeah.
what's our strategic of all these things we need to do?
Right, prioritizing.
What is the priority? And again, I think that's
Yeah.
the strategic
Yeah.
thinking that,
So I would think that the priorities for me are the park master plan,
Mhm.
the SWOT analysis, the Green Cities Challenge. Those are the three. Youth Commission, if it's granted that this group works on it, that could be a priority as well. But I would think that that would be below the SWOT analysis, because the SWOT analysis may say there aren't enough teens in the community to warrant it.
exactly,
And that would be that would be part of the study.
yes.
Yeah,
Okay. We had a lot of discussion. What, I think in the next few, weeks, if people have a particular interest in that, if we could get to, I'd be so bold to say it again with you in terms of what your interest levels are,
Mhm.
and then we can begin to organize.
Well, people can say right now
I'll
would be
just-
helpful.
Yeah, what-
Okay,
Since I'm pushing it, I'm gonna say the SWAT,
okay.
since it's kind of bad of me to push for everybody else to do it, and then you or bring it up and say no.
So, but if anybody's interested in participating on
Oh.
that working group, that's what I'd love to hear right
Yeah.
now. Okay, so Bill, would you be interested in? that?
Yes,
Okay, Keisha, would you be interested in this? Anyone else? It has to be 3 or less. Otherwise, we have to post the meetings.
3 or less than 3.
Less, 3 or less.
Yeah.
You can't have 4 because the 4 is a quorum. So
Okay.
otherwise, we can have 4, but then we just have to.
I mean,
post
we have
the agenda,
2,
So.
and
That's less than 4.
if we one more, I create commissions for the, I'm a president of the fire department board, creating it
Yeah.
and posting within 24 hours of an agenda is not a big deal.
Yeah, I
It's-
mean, we could have 4, we just have to post the
Yeah,
agenda.
that's a minor thing.
And take minutes.
That's also.
Well, and
fine.
I'm also thinking of people's time as well,
Right,
in terms of what's going on.
the more people you have, the harder it is to get
Yeah.
a meeting.
Well,
Yeah.
but if you need help with analysis, I might not be part of that group, but I could help with the.
Oh, sure,
analysis,
sure,
Yeah.
that'd be great.
Something. like
Okay,
that.
so Bill and Keisha,
Yeah.
perfect, thank you.
So,
Thank you.
I will sign up on the master plan.
Okay,
And what is the ask on fees?
well, we have to do our, we have to do the analysis of the ball fields, all the athletic field rentals, that's one of our remaining things. And then we said that that we would analyze our fees after a full year of operation of this building to see if we need to raise them or lower them. And at this point, I'd say probably we'd be looking at, do we need to raise them?
So,
That was our commitment the commission made to the council when these fees were suggested, because this commission lowered by $100 the annual fee.
and so that would be, a year out would be November.
So it would be
right?
November, so yeah, so probably around December, we have to do a report to the council.
Okay,
And what's involved with that?
Well, probably looking at membership numbers, and then doing a comparison to the other cities, because what happened when we set the fees for this building, we had the recommendation from the pro forma, and it was to be $349 for adults. This commission looked at the other Parks and Rec Department community centers and recommended $249 because we didn't have a pool, and that put us below the other cities, because it didn't make sense to charge more when we didn't have the pool. When we opened the center, so we went through that exercise, we had the fees adopted by council, we opened this building. In that time, all the cities around us jacked up all their prices. So we are now incredibly cheap. So
I can
in,
confirm that.
yeah, in us wanting to kind of be on parity with the other
$37
places.
for 5 people. It's wild.
$37 for.
37 a month.
Oh, yeah,
Yeah, I
that's
got a family
right,
of
that's
5.
right, that's right.
Wow.
So, and the other thing
Kind
we
of
didn't
almost second
do,
guessed it. Sorry to interrupt you,
yeah,
but I was
that's
like,
okay, yeah, the other
37,
thing.
that's it?
The other thing we didn't take into consideration when we did that was we charge the same for monthly fees as we do for everybody paying at once. So those are the two areas that we really need to look at. So it would be an assessment of what everybody else is charging.
Mhm.
And since we opened, in the process of that, a lot of the community centers have gone to two-tiered pricing. So if you have like a fitness membership,
Okay.
you get free classes that are not included if you have a lower level. So it's that, it would be the working group looking at
Okay.
all of that and coming up with a recommendation.
I think the addition of
Okay.
corporate membership
So,
too.
but the fee thing would be on 2 track. Do we need to do the ball fields?
We need you to, the ball fields will be easy. It's just to do a comparison of the other ones, come up with a recommendation to council.
So not to
Yeah.
get into the weeds on it at this point, because we're not gonna solve anything tonight.
Right.
But are there anybody,
Well,
is
I'm-
anybody interested in
Yeah,
these?
yeah, I mean, I'm not necessarily not again, interested, I just, time commitment is my biggest
Yeah,
thing.
sure.
I
No,
wanna-
I mean,
Am I
everyone
calling
wants
like every
Well,
municipality, or is this all posted?
No,
It's all
these are, a lot of these are, cities are asked to do
Online,
this,
Yeah.
so they actually have, MPRA does the fee comparison study and people uploaded, hasn't been uploaded in a while, but, my previous job, we did the same thing, and I still have access to
Yeah.
that too.
So I just work with you guys.
Yeah,
then
and we
once I
have,
get data,
we
then
have,
it's-
we have spreadsheets in Google Docs and we just update them.
Okay, yeah, I think I can probably
Yeah.
help with that.
Can I ask you a
That
question?
seems reasonable.
That wasn't one of your big three though. Is that something we should be focusing on?
Well, fees is, it's not one of my big three things, but it's something we've committed to doing. We have to do it.
Okay, I just wanna make sure, I mean, if we've got a big three, that we
Yeah,
don't put
I-
people on.
I have 4.
This is the big four.
Okay, if it's a big four, that's fine. I just wanna make sure we're not already distracting ourselves.
Stanford, Spreckles, or,
Yeah, I'm happy to do fees.
Okay. Okay, and then green team will kind of,
What's the green team? Can you remind me? I'm
it's the
sorry.
Green Cities Challenge.
Green Cities
So
Challenge,
our department is doing the Green Cities Challenge,
Gene Pond.
through Gene Ponzi with the, Gateway Greening, not Gateway Greening.
Yeah, I was here. She
Yeah.
sat right there.
Yeah, so our department is doing it
Yeah.
as a precursor to the whole city potentially taking it on. So,
What do you need from our team on that?
so from our team, we have to have a team that meets regularly, that looks at all of our policies and helps us enact them. So right now, we're doing a lot of things on the checklist. There's this big checklist of the
Yeah.
things you have to do, but there's some policy that has to be written that goes along with it.
Mhm.
And that team needs to meet at least once a month, if not twice a month.
And that would be, I know Kate has indicated
Yeah,
you've got
Kate really wants
OSA,
to
you've got all of that in Bloom.
Right.
So we're not the Lone Rangers out there at this
No.
point.
So we need probably one commissioner to sit on it.
Twice a month's a little rich for my blood. I'll pass on that, but you can
Okay.
pencil me in for the master
Yeah,
plan thing.
we did the master plan and
And the master plan, the way we did it last time, the whole commission participated and we did it at our meetings. And then we hosted community meetings and the commissioners all came to that. We did a survey. We did it through online and then we did intercept surveys in the parks where we talked to people in the park.
Isn't this a 5-year evaluation? It's not
It
a-
is, but we still have to do those activities to get the public, it has to be public engagement.
but
Even for the 5-year review?
Yes, but it won't be as involved as won't be as many meetings, and so the determination has to be, are we gonna hire a consultant or not?
and is that part of your discussion tomorrow with
Yes.
Jennifer? Okay,
Well, that's our discussion next week at the Capitol.
okay.
So the entire commission should be part of the master plan.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
So can we go, I mean, we had some committees already.
We did.
And just thinking back to this, like, I was part of the peace committee, so we did some of this work.
Yeah, we
already.
did,
So, the work plan that we have, are we looking to just revise this, or do some of these things need to come off because they're done?
Yeah, this is last year's plan. It's
Well,
on here
this
as
is last
an
year.
example.
It strikes me that we strike time capsules. It's gone.
Yeah, you know, there was no really
You've got the-
groundswell for that,
So we,
It's that quick, huh?
unless you. want.
Unless you
Well, it
want
was
the
on
time
there for a year.
No,
No, and I'm
Jim,
one of
do
the
you
few
have
people on it,
another
like I
copy
said,
of
I
this?
just about.
I took a picture of a time capsule for you guys in California.
so we did the field rental fee study, so I know I was part of that, we had some, fees that were submitted and
Yeah, a lot was accomplished last year, but we didn't finish we didn't do the fields. The fields are related on
But
that.
she's talking about the fees.
I'm saying,
Yeah,
get the fees
But
from all
Travis
of
just
the
said he
different-
would help with that review.
Yeah, but she said she there.
You-
That's what you're saying, right?
I remember sitting, me and
No, but
Rob
now we have
had
to-
several meetings.
Yeah, we had,
Yeah, but now we have to go back and review if if we're not, if we're gonna need to raise them.
So the fee fee, the fee rental study was done last year. The field component was not completed. The ones for the membership of this building were done and the rentals were done. But we need to still do the field one.
do
And
those
then,
need to be two different goals then?
it can be fees and then it can have two sub goals. It can be one is the fields and then one is the annual.
So
review.
initially, it's gonna be looking at the fields and then maybe
Correct.
in December or whenever, we'll look at.
Well, we need to do it before December so we can do the report in December,
Okay.
because if we raise the fees, we should probably raise them on January first. Because of November, we're open for a year and some of those, well, unless. So let's take a step back. So our anniversary is in November, so that's when a lot of people's annual renewal happens. So do we want to, if the committee recommends an increase and the council adopts it, does that need to happen before November? So that it can be rolled out in November?
It strikes me that, I don't wanna get into it tonight, but I think,
Right.
I think that is logically.
Been looking at a timeline so that people have kind of an idea
Yeah.
of when that needs to be worked on.
It's gonna be a summer, fall thing.
It could be summer for sure.
Yeah.
Because the other question is, from a marketing standpoint, do we want to do it that fast? Or do we want to recommend to the council, and this could be something the committee can talk about? Is it better to have it happen on the year anniversary, or is it better to have it happen 18 months or another full year after that? Because does it look like we did a bait and switch with opening? So,
Right.
so low, that suddenly we jack the fees up. So that's something where I would like insight from people that do marketing. What do we think about that?
And we need to look at the
Existing
revenue,
customers or
Yeah,
Existing
Yeah.
members.
Well, that's the big
versus new
part.
and you gotta look at the revenue.
yeah. How close are we to breaking even from this place?
Yeah.
members.
How
Okay,
much we lose.
so
Yeah.
how do we
I was gonna
begin to, I think we can go back and thread kind of where people are, but how do we, from a staff standpoint, where should we interface and how should that work?
Well, I think we've had a fantastic discussion tonight, so I think what would be nice is if we, Pat sadly is tasked with writing the minutes on this. But we could,
He stopped 20 minutes ago.
I'm just gonna watch it.
take all these, take this discussion and bring it back next month to refine it. But in the meantime, we could have some of the subcommittees,
What subcommittees need to meet now?
I would think the SWOT analysis.
Keisha and I need to be
Yeah,
ahead.
yeah.
We need,
Yeah.
so what I'm thinking is for our next meeting, Keisha and I, and I'm speaking for you, so
Yeah,
you're not
that's
here.
fine.
We need to have a high level plan
Yeah.
for how we're gonna attack SWAT
Yes,
and
yes.
have discussion on that as part of our working group report next month.
Okay,
Yes, absolutely. And that's an easy thing to bring back, but then continue this discussion. And the other thing is, to Travis's point, do we want to put the director report back at the end of the meeting again?
Well, I mean, we didn't even have the right director's report this month, so I mean, I don't think the director's report is as important as some of this other stuff, so,
Right,
I think, I like it up front, but I think time box it,
yes.
yeah.
so.
Yeah.
It's more focused. Now, that means the rest of us have to have something to fill in the rest of the time, and I don't mean that in a negative way, but there's no point in rushing you to be done in 10 minutes, and we're like, I didn't do anything, as I've been saying on the Time Capsule Commission for the last year. So I
don't
think
the
that would help.
time Camp Capitol's happening. I think the.
Yeah,
building's
I think we
built.
just struck it, and I'm like, yay, I didn't do this, and then
Yeah.
eventually
Yeah, yeah.
procrastination won. But I think coming back to us next month and saying, how long do you think you need to do a legitimate update to us?
Right,
And not that you give us lots of fluff, but, and again, we're gonna then complain you don't give us enough fluff. But kind of work through shorter there, more working group reports and getting, I mean, that's what it was like when I was first on the commission. And
Right.
again, COVID hit, and we all just kind of went to updates versus
Mhm.
action.
Yes.
right.
What I'd like to see is a set time. One of the things for me, I think would be super beneficial is
Okay.
this meeting starts at 7, this meeting adjourns at 8:30. And we're gonna have this amount of time, and if we need an hour for our portion of the meeting, great. 30 minutes for updates, that's great too. But having that, knowing the definite times in and out for me is a major win.
Okay.
I also have 3 young kids at home, so maybe
Right.
I'm the only one in the room that feels that way, but
No,
I feel like
you're
it's, sometimes these meetings can just,
We
they
meander.
can go on a little bit, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah, and if we have
I
that
think
set
the
time and
discussion
it's
is
like,
like-
hey, we got 10 minutes, we need to vote on this,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah, and that is, that's a good point. We have a city manager right now who likes meetings to be on the shorter side. We had a different philosophy with our old city manager
Yeah.
where meetings needed to be run the time that it was needed.
Yeah.
This city manager places value on having very short meetings.
Yeah.
So,
I'm also a fan of more frequent and not necessarily in-person meetings too, but that's my own style and my age group and what I do for work all day, so like
some of
it's.
our subcommittee, some of the working group meetings could be.
Yeah, we could do
Yeah.
those.
Yeah, and they should be. I mean, we need to get back to the working groups provide. That needs to be, in my opinion, most of this meeting.
Right,
Then
yes.
large group conversation on those, on each of them versus just us being updated.
That would be fantastic. We would love that.
And I think that the new city manager, it's not so much that she just wants shorter meetings, she wants things to be more succinct.
Yeah.
more,
Right.
You know,
Right.
And I'm gonna put my plug in, can we please get these meetings sent as a calendar invite? I don't know why.
I don't.
Well, one of the things with
I
that
don't
too is
think- I
that
don't
you
think
may
we
have
ever did
Outlook, you
that.
may use Apple, like. I get the calendar thing, but even, we didn't think we'd have a quorum this morning at 8 o'clock.
But
And
because
now
we
we
didn't
had
have a
more people
calendar
that never
invite.
even said they were gonna come.
But I'm saying if you had a calendar invite.
I don't think
send
we've
it as-
ever done.
But we can't even
I
get an
I
email.
get it for everywhere, so I'm on a commission or a board, I don't know why.
No, we can't get an email back from
We
people
did-
saying that they're gonna come
We
either.
did
So
have-
calendar might. I just
we-
think we'll say
We did Outlook the year before last. We did Outlooks. I didn't see a significant increase in people saying they were gonna come. So,
But I think if we could do that and get us to make a commitment that we will respond, whether we can be at the meeting or
so
not.
I think the last time I did it as a series. So when people accepted it, it meant they were coming to every single
Well,
meeting.
then I'm saying you send it as separate meetings.
So so you want me to set up as individual meetings for the year? Okay,
Yeah, I think
all
that
right,
would
we'll,
be,
we'll do that. We'll do that.
okay.
And that way, I mean, I think the meetings, the call, the calls, are you gonna come, I think we're all professionals, we should be able to know if we're gonna be here or not and say.
Well,
Oh, not-
but on the other hand too, we meet the same night every month, same time.
But still. I
But
mean,
if it's not on the
but-
calendar,
but
it
life-
does not exist.
Life
Wouldn't it-
takes over at times.
So,
Be on a calendar.
so
then, if
May,
we're having the
so,
same meeting?
so usually we're we are technically the third Wednesday of the month,
Correct.
but Juneteenth is on
Right. we-
a Wednesday, so we pushed
Got
it
a
to a
couple-
week
yeah.
later. In October, we pushed it to a week earlier, but otherwise in those, between now and the end of the year, it's always the third Wednesday of the month.
Mhm.
So if you could,
All
I
right,
would
I'll do,
appreciate if you
I
could
won't
put
do a
out.
series, I'll do individual meetings.
So but I have a question, once I hit accept and I put it on there, then that means I'm going.
That means that
Unless
if
you
you
go back
accept,
and change it.
Yeah.
You can come back and change it, and you can check it a week ahead.
Oh, I didn't know that, okay.
and has everybody put their email addresses in GovSense?
Yeah.
I mean, sorry, in Civic Plus, the city's website to receive
Is
the
that-
agenda.
Mine
posting.
is
Yes.
there.
Yeah,
Are you
Uh,
considered close?
It should be.
yeah, your AT&T's in there, not your Propel. I can't put Propel in there, so you
I
do
can
have to
do
do it, okay.
Okay,
And I don't know that Stacy knows about that.
I've told her.
Okay,
yeah,
Yeah.
she did text, apologize that she had to leave, she had to pick
Yeah,
up.
now
her
she
son.
had to pick
Okay.
up a kid.
Yeah.
So,
And I think, and she's interested in one of those working groups.
Great.
okay,
Do you know which one?
No.
I can reach out.
Okay, that'd be great.
Well, I think this has been a robust discussion.
It has been. I really appreciate
And I-
everybody's candor. And I'd like to say, truthfully, I never want people to feel disenfranchised. So, Keisha, I apologize for you feeling that way.
So, for the, I don't want to mean to cut you off.
No, yeah.
For these dashboard things, since it is getting late and people need to leave, is it possible for that, is that attached to our thing, or is that something you could send out to us as?
Yeah, I could send out the slideshow. to
Yeah,
everybody.
that would be,
Yeah.
I mean, just because the hour is getting late, I think that would be great.
Yeah. And then we have, Villa Park, to Bill's point, we ripped out the splash pad because there was a valve that broke, froze, and then we were repairing improving the drainage because it wasn't draining the correct way. So.
And also worsen
We made them rip out the concrete up there. The concrete didn't survive the winter, so it's a different contractor. That one hasn't been paid for. Villa, we.
Okay,
made
so that
them
was
better.
under the.
Was it, so someone asked me if Villa was under warranty.
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, are there any other questions or anything? I will entertain, if not, I will.
Can I just make a comment?
Yes,
I just, again, speaking for myself, want to thank you. I don't want anybody to think I'm trying to make the, again, us first, them, me versus anybody else. I think this has been a very good, healthy conversation that it sounds like there's been a lot bubbling. The same as some worse than it was, that just kind of came out, but I think it's good, and I think it's very
Yeah,
good for the
absolutely.
Parks and Rec and the commission.
And I think that, Patrick and Beverly, your willingness to hear everybody is very much appreciated.
Yes, and your leadership, yes.
because I know from my time, sometimes I would be concerned. So, but thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you.
Do I hear a motion for adjournment?
I make a motion to adjourn.
Do I hear a second?
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Meeting
Right,
adjourned.
Patrick, good luck with the
Anybody
minutes.
wants more?
Oh, does
Hey, I'll take some more.
Extras?
Yes,
Yeah.
please.
Oh, I'll take.
I left your thing in the car by accident. so-
Bill, you pay for more Russian?
And yeah, you have a minute, I'm planning them all over.
Do you want it all?
She gave me hers.
Oh, here, I'll use
Here's
my.
my-
You and Keisha can